What's up, everyone? So it's me, Erica, with Artist Till Death, and I was going over a lot of the messages that we've been getting lately, and we get questions all the time. And one that's come up a lot lately is what's the difference between the top cell, the base cell, the tints, the dyes, micas, all of the kinds of things to color resin. And so I wanted to do a video that kind of gives an all over summation of what those different colorants are. And so stay tuned so I can give you a kind of a quick rundown on those. So the colors that we're going over are metallic paste, loose micas, tints, dry paste, base paste, and top cell paste. Stay tuned. Okay, so now that all of the boring talk is out of the way, let's do some practical demonstrations so you can really see and get a handle on what it is that I'm talking about, because it is kind of confusing if you don't see it happen. So we are going to do that real quick. I went ahead and mixed up my resin. The type of resin that you use will give you different results. So if you have specific questions on type of resin, then shoot me an email or a message through my website, and I will address those individually, or if enough people have questions about different kinds of epoxy, then I can do a video specifically talking about each different kind. So I'm just going to measure out my resin into these little cups. Side note, if you don't scrape the sides of your mixing cup when you're mixing your resin, then don't scrape the sides of your cup when you are getting the last little bit of resin out, because it could give you issues. And if you have questions on that, let me know and I will do a video on that as well. Trying to make it as even as possible, only for the sake of demonstration. So the first color we're going to be going over, or type of colorant, is, let's start with powder. So a powder is typically a ground up mica, and this is what it looks like. You've probably seen the puff of pigment getting into the air already. So wear a respirator or something so you don't breathe in any mica particles. It gets in the air really easily because typically micas are really fine ground particles. And so you kind of have to stir a little more slowly, unless you kind of do the trick where you put resin in, then your mica, and then more resin to kind of sandwich it in there and keep it from puffing up in your face. I also really have to overload my powders in order to get a really good color payoff, typically. So I went ahead and made this opaque, which means that you cannot see through it. Superb. I rejarred some Blue Earth from Stone Coat. That's what this color is. Okay, so the next closest thing to a powder, since most powders are metallic, if you find a flat powder, it's usually really difficult to mix it into your epoxy. I don't even bother with them. I don't think I have any even in my shop, because they're just so difficult to work with. So we use flat paste, and I will get to that in a minute. I don't want to get ahead of myself, which I almost always do. So this is Blue Diamond from Just Resin. It is a metallic paste, so it will look similar to the powders, but I don't have to worry about any particles kind of puffing up in my face. So while maybe you should wear a respirator anyways when working with resin, you don't have to do it to avoid getting mica in your lungs, because it's kind of like a pudding texture, and then you mix it in and it just dissolves and melts super easily. As you can see, it is an opaque color. The color is Blue Diamond from Just Resin. I can't remember if I said it, but I probably did. Okay, the next color I'm going to show you is titanium. So if you want a color that's not metallic, some people do spray paints, which you can do. You just have to really watch how much spray paint you put into your resin, because it's not really made for that, and you don't want to degrade the durability of your epoxy. This is a flat white paste. I use it for all of my oceans and anytime I need a white that doesn't have any shimmer to it. I use a white or a black in almost every one of my pieces, so having one that really works with your application is a super huge deal. So just like the other paste, it melts in super smoothly. And with the paste, obviously, even with the powders, you can put a little bit less of the colorant in and it'll make it transparent or translucent. I really wanted this to be opaque so that it kind of goes along with everything else that we're doing. So the next one that we're going to mix up is a base paste. Now, base paste have to be under the other colors that you're using in order to give you really big cells. And I'm going to demo this in a moment, but I wanted you to see the colorant before I even mix it in. I always mix my pigments before I put them in my resin, just as a general rule. And all of these pigments you can find on our website, artisttilldeath.com, in many, many colors. I don't carry that many micas, but I do carry a lot of dry pastes, which are similar to micas, and I will go over that in just a moment. So I made this color not along the blues that I've already used, because I want you guys to really pay attention to where this gets applied so you can see the difference. So this is a base paste, and what it does is magic, and we'll show you that in just a moment. So the next color I'm going to show you is a dry paste. It has kind of the consistency of, I would say, like wet coffee grounds. I can do this all I want to and it's not going to puff up in my face. So I don't know what kind of binder is in it that's proprietary, so I have no idea, but I know that it works a lot closer to what a metallic paste, like how those work. I still overload my powders no matter what. This color is called Purple Sapphire. This color is Cerise by Color Passion, and this one is Purple Sapphire from Resin Art. All the colors that we carry have a great color payoff, by the way, which you probably can tell from the video that they're very, very vibrant and opaque. Whew. The next color I'm going to mix up is a tint from Color Obsession. So this is a tint from Color Obsession. And the tints are really great because you can vary the depth of tone without worrying about going opaque. So with micas or paste, if you put too much in, it will be opaque, whereas with the tints from Color Obsession, you put just a little bit in and you get a lighter shade like this one, or you can add a couple more drops and turn it into a more deep tone. So this one is the Lollipop Red, I believe. So with every drop you add, you get a different tone, which is brilliant in my book. I use these for my oceans exclusively. Whew. So there's our palette. Those are the different kinds of pigment we're using. A powder, metallic paste, flat paste, base paste, dry paste, and a tint. Right, so now I'm going to show you how to properly use them to get cells. So let's start with the base paste because I get most questions about this. So what a base paste is a paste that has to be under the other colors in order to get your cells. So I'm going to just put a line here and then a comparative line right here. So we have the base paste. I'm going to put just some titanium in front of it and behind it. Now, so if this was all out like this, you'll be able to see the difference. So I'm going to use it the wrong way on the first one and then the right way on the second one. So the one with the pink on the bottom is how it's supposed to be used, where it's under the other colors. Just gonna pop some bubbles. All right. So if the base paste is on top, I'm just using a swipe to get my kind of application across to see which is supposed to be where. And then I'm gonna swipe some of the white over the base paste. So if the base paste is on top, you're not gonna get a whole lot of reaction. Whereas if the base paste is on the bottom, you're gonna get reaction. Think about it like the base paste is like the basement. It has to be under the rest of the house for it to be right, right? So no reaction, even though that's there, that was an air bubble, versus proper reaction. You're gonna get cells this way. So now a tint is going to be all transparent. It's going to be clear. It's going to be beautiful. This is what I use for all my oceans. You'll be able to see all underpainting through it. And I'm going to use titanium because it is what I use for all my oceans. I'm going to take just another piece of swiping paper. Ooh, I guess I should warm it up first. And just swipe that down. Now you can see cells popping up this way. Different types of heat will give you different cell results as well. And the longer we let this kind of set and settle, the more cells are going to pop up in this finish. They're going to be smaller because the base cells are always bigger than the top cell. You can also get both top and base cell with powders and metallic pastes. So I'm going to just demonstrate here with the top cell over my metallic. Now we're going to let it set, and the longer you let it set, the bigger the cells will grow in each individual demo. And then you can also, let's say we want to use a powder over the base paste. We'll get the same large cells. As long as you use the products in the right order with the right heat source and the right epoxy, you can get a whole bunch of really beautiful designs. And you can also do it with just a regular mica over the base. All I'm eventually doing is manipulating the one color over the base paste. And that's going to give me all the cell payoff that I'm looking for. You can even kind of layer your different kinds of pigments. So let's say I wanted to do purple, the base paste. And then swipe all of this. It should, in theory, give me a whole bunch of really neat cells. In theory, because if I'm filming, sometimes it doesn't go how I would have wanted it to. But it looks like it's going to do some neat stuff. You can also utilize the base under a tint. I'm hoping this will be readable since the colors are so similar. Swipe one over the other, making sure the base paste is on the bottom. And we'll see if that populates something awesome. So I hope that clears up a little bit of the differences between various kinds of I hope that a little bit explains the difference in when you would use a base versus a top cell. So this is with the base paste over on top of a top cell. It doesn't really do much. As the top cell over a base cell. Beautiful large cell structure. It's a top cell over a tint, like how we do oceans. a base, nope, a dry paste over a base cell, mica over a base cell, tint even works over a base cell, and you can layer them to give you a really interesting gradient effect. So I'm going to see if I can put all the rest of this color down and make a piece out of it. I don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to give it a shot. So if you've been with me this far, thank you very much. And so now let's see if we can make a sellable piece of artwork out of this mishmash of colors. So first thing I'm going to do is quickly put down all of the resin, filling in all of the big empty areas. And then once I have everything kind of down, have all the resin out, then I'm going to fill in all of the blanks. I'm trying to like wipe my fingers off in between each different color that I'm picking up to reduce the amount of colors mixing, but that's not always very feasible, and colors are going to mix, so sometimes you just have to roll with it. Now I'm heating it with a heat gun to kind of thin it out and make it more movable. And after this first swipe, I decided I really liked that directional movement with it, so I'm going to kind of do these circular swipes all the way around. Since this resin is on its, like the end of its curing process in terms of workability, I can do these directional swipes and not worry about any of the colors mixing too much, because the resin is on the thicker side because it's further into the curing process, and not worry about these lines that I'm putting in moving too much. I am hitting with a little bit of heat in between each swipe because I need to thin it out, and when you add heat to resin, it's going to make it more workable. It's going to thin it out. You'll also see me curling my swiping paper so that I get that fine point on the end. It's just something I like. To each their own. And so I toyed with the idea of swiping through this part, and then I dropped the swiping paper. I should have left it in retrospect and not have to kind of clean it up, but it is what it is. I bet I can make some really nice roses with this technique, and once the resin is in this kind of thicker, more stubborn state, if you will. And so after I kind of covered all the areas with the swirly swipes, I decided to tie in those little tails into the flow of the piece. And I actually really like how it turned out. Let me know what you think down in the comments, because it was fun to do, and this is how it turned out. And I think I can probably crush it with roses. And so with this piece as a whole, you can really tell, because of where the larger cells are, where the base cell paste is, and that is from Color Passion. All the color range from Color Passion, if put under a paste or a powder from another brand, will give you these larger cells. And it's one of my favorite things to work with. Almost all of the pieces I do, short of Oceans, will have a Color Passion paste in it. All of them except for the one that specifically says top cell are base cells in the brand, the color range of Color Passion. I'm sure you can kind of deduce which areas have the base paste versus the top cell paste. But I think this piece turned out pretty okay. I'm interested to see what you guys have to say about it down in the comments. I know it's not going to be for everybody, but maybe a couple somebodies, you know? Anyway, either way, I love it. I hope you guys do too. So I hope that video made sense, and if you still have questions about something, definitely leave a comment down below this video. Shoot me an email, send me a message on my contact form on the website, artisttilldeath.com. You can also get all the colors that I used today at artisttilldeath.com. Happy to help anytime. So if you have a request for something specific, leave that down in the description, the comment box, or send me a message through the website or an email, and I'll get to it as soon as I can. In the meantime, be kind to one another because you never know what someone's going through. And always remember that we do the test so you don't have to, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Bye. Jeff says bye.